Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to Devin and the ReEnergize Ohio organization for offering this opportunity. My name is Bill Bishilany. I'm Deputy Treasurer of State and Director of Economic Development under Josh Mandel. Very, very grateful to be able to present to you today some of the economic development programs that truly have some great benefits for small businesses and consumers. The mission of the Treasury, very briefly, is to manage and invest state money with integrity and high ethical standards. Our vision is to strive to be the best possible Treasurer's office we can in the country, and we spend considerable time evaluating other states' programs and processes in an effort to obviously continue to increase the efficiency in our own office. Economic development program was established back in the mid-'80s. The legislators felt there was a need to offer some type of incentive to create and retain jobs throughout Ohio. So they put aside about 12% of our investment portfolio, which averages about $600 million per year that we have available to us to actually put out into the state of Ohio through these programs. The programs are utilized, again, to enhance, create, retain jobs, and so far has been quite successful over the many years that they have been in effect. I'll kind of go through how it actually works as we get through the programs. It is fairly consistent through the programs. There are some small nuances that apply to each program individually, so we'll kind of go through those on an individual process. But the basic concept is you as an owner of a small business or of your own home would actually go into an eligible bank, participating bank, and apply for a traditional loan. At that point, you and the bank would go through the approval process. At that point, once you're approved, you would apply for one of our linked deposit programs. When approved, the bank actually would send us notification. We will then place an actual investment with the bank in a CD or money market or interest-bearing account, matching the dollars that you are borrowing. They then would take the interest that they gain on that instrument and provide the interest buy-down rate that applies to each program individually. Very first program, and probably the cornerstone of the office, is called GrowNOW. GrowNOW is actually a small business loan, and as you can see by the slides, we'll kind of go through some of these. But it is a partnership between the Treasury and the eligible banks. We offer up to a 3% interest rate reduction on new or existing bank loans, and that is rather a key point that we can kind of go into as we proceed. You can reduce the interest rate on a new or existing loan for up to $400,000. The initial application is a 2-year period. In order to qualify, you must create or retain 1 full-time or 2 part-time jobs for every $50,000 that you borrow. At the end of the first 2 years, we would actually go through, take a look at your application based on how you apply for your loan, which would say, for example, I'm going to save or create two full-time jobs, 2 part-time jobs. We would take a look at the end of that 2-year period. If you met your criteria, you then get another 2-year reduced rate period for that loan. The unique opportunity with GrowNOW is, say, for example, you were to go and take out a 10-year loan for your small business. We would buy that rate down for that first 2- and 2-year period. We would ask that you sit out for 2 years, somewhat of a cooling off period. You can then reapply for an additional 2 years with a 2-year renewal. So you could actually have a reduced interest rate for 8 years out of a 10-year loan. You can imagine what type of interest rate reduction you save and premium monthly you can save over that 10-year period. It's absolutely huge. The one area that we're really pushing very hard, obviously with the economy the way it is, not too many small businesses are looking to take on any more debt, and we can appreciate that. So we ask you to take a look at consolidating your debt. Take a look at your vehicle loans, your actual business loan, maybe your property loan. Take a look at consolidating those debts into one new loan. We don't charge any fees. You go talk to your banker, and I assure you that you should be able to save considerable money if you can actually qualify for a new loan. Who's eligible? Very simple. Everything is meant to save and create jobs in the state of Ohio. That is the main impetus of the program. You save or create one full-time or two part-time jobs, as I mentioned, and $50,000 can be borrowed. For a small business, you have a husband and a wife, maybe you have a son or a daughter. That's already 2 or 4 full-time positions, so already you qualify for $200,000. Must be headquartered in Ohio, have less than 150 employees, organized for profit, and you must maintain offices and operating facilities in Ohio. We run into that situation very, very commonly throughout Ohio and the neighboring states. You'll have a company who borders one of the other states, West Virginia, Indiana, some of these others, and they may have one storage facility or some type of administrative facility in one of these other states. Unfortunately, that will be looked at on an individual basis, but unfortunately 9 times out of 10, it's going to void your opportunity to participate in the program. Again, it is meant to keep everything in the state of Ohio. The name of the loan must be in the operating entity's name. Obviously, if we have it in a holding company, we can't verify salaries or employees, so that has been an issue that we're kind of wrestling with and talking to the legal powers here to see if there's a way of getting around that. More and more people are putting, obviously, real estate and some of the other assets into a holding company's name. So we're really trying to see if there's a way of gaining some type of verification to allow us to go ahead and issue a loan in an operating entity's name. But at present, we're not permitted to do so. The loan must be fixed. That's not to say that a rate can't be higher and be variable, but the reality is when you take out your loan, we ask them to fix the rate. So you would go into the bank, they'll fix a 6% interest rate over, say, the 10 years of your loan. For that first 2 and 2 years, or even that additional 4 that I spoke of earlier, that rate will be reduced by up to 3%. When it goes back beyond the time period, it will return to that 6% interest rate. We don't do lines of credit, and co-borrowing is not permitted in the program either. How can you use GrowNOW? Very, very flexible. As I mentioned earlier, debt refinancing, consolidation, capital purchases. You're talking equipment, vehicles, operating capital, doing payables to help to get you over the hump during this economic crisis, and actually expansions and acquisitions. You're looking to purchase maybe another business to supplement your existing. This can be used for that. Who do we partner with? Maybe you have an SBA loan already. Maybe you have a loan through the Department of Development, now called Jobs Ohio. We do partner with these organizations, so we do meet with them on a regular basis. If you are partnered with one of them right now, you need to sit down with them and ask if there's an opportunity possibly to, even though you have an existing loan, would they consider doing the GrowNOW application now, even though maybe your loan is a year, 2 years already into the period. So we're all working to try to make this a little bit more easier for you, a little bit more attractive, a way to, again, create and retain jobs in the state of Ohio. How to participate? As I mentioned before, you do have to go to the bank and apply for a traditional loan. We do not guarantee money. We do not loan money. We do not grant money. It is strictly used as a tool to place it with a bank and put it in a financial instrument. If, God forbid, something happens and your business does not succeed, we go in, we take our financial investment back, and the bank is on the hook. So they truly do all the heavy lifting. They take all the risk. We just offer the opportunity to buy that interest rate down for you. If you would like to proceed further and get a little bit more information, this is the website. And again, you can even go to our ohiotreasurer.gov website where you can view all the programs. But this is a direct link, our grownow.ohio.gov. This is a direct link to the program itself that kind of show you the actual application, the kind of questions, and really walk you through the whole process before you really take that next step. This is an idea. It is a 2-year program, as we mentioned, with a 2-year renewal, so everything is kind of done in a rolling fund. But since 2011 fiscal year to 2012 fiscal year, we have invested about $232 million into 1,133 businesses around the state, and it is in 81 counties. So the other 7 counties are mostly in your extremely rural areas that may be using one of our other programs, such as AgLink for farming. But there are not a lot of manufacturing facilities, so we have not been able to get out to those other 7 counties. but it is truly very widely used. So if you're considering any type of improvements, acquisitions, expansion, or just need to gain some additional capital, please take a look at the program. It's really a wonderful program. It's very flexible and very easy to use. ReEnergize Ohio. Devin and I were talking about this one earlier. This program has been kind of a labor of love for about a year now. It came out as a program to be named later. It came out as a program to have brochures later. Well, we have finally made it over the hump. We rolled the program out about a month ago. Been very successful in that we've notified all of our partners throughout Ohio. Did a lot of chatter. We actually wrote our very first, or funded, I should say, our very first loan in Greenville, Ohio on the ReEnergize Ohio program. ReEnergize is, again, a partnership, obviously, between the Treasurer and eligible banks. The ReEnergize Ohio also offers up to a 3% rate reduction on loans. This program actually applies strictly to the energy improvement, energy conservation side of a small business. Again, applies to the interest rate reduction on $550,000 on this program. Now, the difference with this program, we do require the creation and retention of job commitment, but we do not have an actual ratio. So you don't have to have a full-time job or two part-time jobs to apply for this program or actually qualify for the $50,000 figure. You can actually take your investment in your energy efficiency upgrades and apply this, say, 50% of the loan proceeds to the energy efficiency upgrades. The other 50% can apply to just about anything in the business. You can redo your parking lot. You can buy pieces of equipment. You can do your landscaping. That's the beauty of this program. We looked at it and said, well, what if a business wants to do a multitude of things? They want to do the energy efficiency upgrades. They want to do LED lighting. They want to do HVAC improvements, windows, doors, a new roof, anything that would apply to an energy efficiency upgrade. You take your application, 50% of those dollars, you borrow maybe $80,000 on a large firm. You now qualify with that $80,000 for another $80,000 to do those items that I mentioned a little bit ago. So it has quite the flexibility in this program as well. These are some of the things, obviously, when you do re-energize your business that may not have a direct relationship to creating and retaining jobs in your business, but it actually affects everyone. You're using your local contractors. You're, again, using dollars out of your local community bank. You're rejuvenating your business and revitalizing your small business by using the 50% for the energy efficiency upgrades and into equipment and vehicles. It's, again, has a lot of opportunity here. What qualifies? Again, lighting controls, heating and cooling systems, renewable energy systems, all your weatherization projects, all your energy efficient appliances, equipment, and even vehicles. Great opportunity. There is no minimum to actually use on this program. I know we have that huge cap of $550,000, but it starts just about wherever you would like to start it from. So again, another opportunity to help hopefully reduce your interest rates, offer you an opportunity to gain some capital to be used for all these different programs. Very similar process. You're going to go into your bank again. You're going to actually apply for a traditional loan. All these applications, by the way, when you go into your bank, are on either their intranet or they are linked to our intranet where they can pull the application down while you are with them. They go ahead and help you fill this out. The program or application actually gets submitted to us. Within usually 48 hours or so, we will actually review your application, and within 7 days, we can actually fund the actual loan. So we're the quickest turnaround time you're probably going to get because the banks have actually done the heavy lifting already. So we don't ask you for a lot of personal information. They have it all already. So it's really very, very specific to your organization and what you're actually looking to do with the funds. On this program, we do ask for either the receipts or a firm quote from a contractor detailing the improvement. We do touch base with the bank to make sure that these improvements were made. So there is some verification process in all of our programs. AgLink. This one's a little bit different. I don't know if we have any farmers on the webinar. I don't really think we do, but I'll very briefly run through this program. The farming industry in Ohio is still very, very alive and well. 1 in 7 Ohioans are still in traditional farming or agri-farming. So actually every year, the first quarter, we do a buy-down program for them on their interest rates. The difference with this, it is an annual program for them. So between January and March, they will actually fill out an application. They will apply for anywhere now up to $150,000. It has just passed through the legislature. It was $125,000 for, I think, since the program's actually instituted back in the 80s. So we raised that up to $150,000 per loan. They do have to pay it back, as I mentioned, within a year. This program, we have a set aside of now up to $165 million for the farming industry. We funded about $58 million this year, so it is truly very, very widely used. Unfortunately, the farmers had a very hard time this year, so we're hoping that the interest rate buy-down in this program offers them a little bit of assistance and comfort. This one, we actually negotiate the interest rate annually, so it will tend to fluctuate. It will tend to be a little bit less than the up to 3% we can give on the other programs. This one is strictly guided by the actual interest rates available, so runs a little bit less than all the other programs. Dollars funded, as I mentioned, we ended up doing about $55 million, about 676 participants, but again, 60 counties represented out of 88, so very, very widely used. We appreciate the opportunity to help out our farming industry, which, by the way, is about a $98 billion a year, I believe, industry in the state every year. So it's very big business. Moving over now a little bit to the consumer side, the EcoLink program is another staple of the office. This is the energy conservation for Ohioans. This program is really what was kind of the driving force of the ReEnergize program. This has been around for quite a while, and we spun the ReEnergize off of this program to give small business an opportunity to enjoy that same saving. But this one applies directly to you as a consumer, as a homeowner, applies to most all residential type rated properties such as condominiums, mixed use developments. Now we've been able to make that modification. So if you have some of the commercial on the downstairs or retail on the downstairs and above it is all housing, you can actually make these improvements through the EcoLink application. This program is actually fixed at a 3% interest rate reduction. That is by statute. It cannot be changed, obviously, unless we were to go back across the street. This, though, has also a period of 5 or 7 years, depending on how much money you borrow. Up to $25,000, it's a 5-year payback. $25,000 to $50,000 is a 7-year payback. Here's some of the examples of who is eligible: Ohio residents, single-family homes or condominiums, and again, we talked about some of the additional residential classifications, which we made that change last year. Things have changed so much, obviously, in that market that residential homes has a whole new connotation, so we're trying to kind of keep up with the changes, and it's been very successful. We've had a lot of various people use this program that haven't been able to use it in the past. Again, you're going to go back to the bank and talk about a loan, whether it's an equity loan, which we see most people using. Again, you're talking about 50% of the loan proceeds being used for the qualified energy efficient upgrades, and the remaining 50%, you redo the bathroom, you redo the kitchen. Used to be you had to have 2 different loans or pay down one before you could actually apply for the other. So we made this change, and again, it seems to be working. No minimum here. Usually we're getting around an $8,000 to $10,000 loan. We're seeing an awful lot of the new geothermal units being put in, and we're seeing some of these going up as high as $25,000, $28,000, $30,000. The nice opportunity at the moment, we are actually seeing rates of 1.5% for your 5 years. It's absolutely, it's crazy what those numbers are, but people are starting to say, I didn't maybe necessarily want to do this right now. However, with the rates as they are, they're taking out this this equity line and they're turning around, and for 1.5%, they're actually replacing everything: roofs, again, your furnace, water heaters, dishwashers, washers and dryers. Just about anything that's considered an energy efficiency upgrade qualifies for this program. Here's a few things. It was windows and doors being #1. Now I think we're kind of swinging over to the geothermal heat system. And again, this goes anywhere from just the actual furnace to a complete true geothermal unit. We are finding that actually some of our commercial partners are using this as a promotional tool. So what they're doing, they're going out selling their program, saying, by the way, I can get you a 3% interest rate reduction. So it's helping them, it's helping the consumer, and it's helping the Treasurer's office actually get the word out that we do have this money to help buy down your rates. Again, we're going to ask for, once you have your pre-approval, we're going to ask for a quote from the contractor, or we're going to look for some receipts. In any event, this is how we're going to qualify and verify that you've actually done what you promised to do. And you take a look at this, and not only are we concerned about the funds, but this offers such a great opportunity on the green energy side to start making these improvements. At long range, I think this is going to be extremely beneficial to the state. These are some of the benefits, which are pretty obvious. Again, we're looking at several things. You're looking at the improvements to local community utility companies, yourselves on your interest rate reduction, yourself on your green energy upgrades. These are all benefits that you're going to receive. There are some other rebates and incentives out there. We actually partnered with Dominion last year and with Huntington Bank and did some of the energy audits, and they ran this program from September through the end of the year last year, and we had a tremendous spike in participants, and it really truly is, again, about getting the word out. It's very hard for us to get the word out. That's why these webinars are really a wonderful opportunity. We're not permitted, obviously, to use tax dollars on marketing, so we have to rely on individuals such as Devon, Heritage Ohio, and hopefully you going forward to actually continue to get this word out and say there's some really great programs and great opportunities out there for you. 2012 fiscal year, we funded about $7.8 million, about 98 participants in 36 counties. Now I know that based on a $10,000 or $20,000 investment, it doesn't equate to 97 people using $7.8 million. The difference with this program, we actually fund this on a 5-to-1 or 7-to-1 basis. In other words, if you take out a 5-year payback on maybe up to that $25,000, we're going to put in 5 times that $25,000 to actually qualify the banks to get their interest rate buy down, offer you the buy down rate. So a little more costly to the Treasurer's office, but again, it makes the plan work. SaveNOW program. This is a program that usually everyone kind of jumps at. This is a program that we've used to increase financial literacy throughout the state. Basically what you're going to do is go to the participating banks. You're going to open up a savings account. Usually they're paying probably about the 0.16% right now, if you're lucky. We will actually bump that interest rate by 3%. And it is basically a 2-year program. It is offered one time in your life, and you're allowed to place $5,000 per year in that 2-year period, and will actually permit you to gain a 3% interest rate bump on that money. If you were to open one of these for your children, grandchildren, they have a benefit of this being a 2-year program, but then when they become adults, they can actually apply for an additional 2-year program. What's the benefit? The benefit is that we ask you to fill out a survey initially when you apply, kind of help identify your spending habits, maybe your saving habits, and then we start to give you financial literature throughout the year. We'll send you out 3 different financial newsletters, just kind of maybe pointing out some new opportunities that may be available for investing, for saving, and that proceeds for probably the first 2 years, at which time we'll ask you to fill out another survey that just, again, indicates, have I changed my saving habits? Have I changed my spending habits? So it gives you a real good handle on some of the things that we kind of take for granted. We're targeting right now the 16 to 25-year-old range. They get their first car, their first driving license, maybe their first job. It's a good time to introduce a program such as SaveNOW. Open that bank account. There are no fees. There's no minimum. There's no balance minimum. The benefit, obviously, is it's based on a daily balance. So your interest rate is going to be based on that money sitting in there over that 2 years. That's where you're going to get your best return. So again, please take a look. If you take a look at our website, you will see all the banks that are actually participating in our program, on all the programs. If you're in an area where it doesn't seem to be a bank participating, you can please contact our office. We have 3 program officers that can actually guide you to a bank that is actually participating. We have probably 1,000 banks that are actually linked with the Treasurer's office. Unfortunately, due to the economy as it is, we're well below that number that are actually doing deals with us on a daily basis. So again, they're out there. You may go into your bank. They may tell you that I don't know what you're talking about, or we aren't participating. No problem. Please contact us. We will put you in touch with someone that will participate and hopefully get your program started. In SaveNOW right now, we're up to 3,843 participants, 67 counties actually represented. SaveNOW has been around for a few years now and was kind of holding its own, but we right now have PNC, Nationwide Insurance, who opened up a bank and is really offering this to their own customers only. They pretty much doubled the participation rate in SaveNOW alone, just with their participation. So we have a few other banks looking to go in, Fahey Bank, and there's a few of the smaller community banks participate, but they are also on the website, so please take a look. It's a great opportunity to open up an account for you, your children, or your grandchildren. I know this kind of went a little quickly, and I apologize, I talked very quickly, but I would really welcome some questions. These programs are very beneficial to small business throughout our state, and I do want to offer that I do present, as well as our program officers, to various business organizations. We'd love to come out and do a presentation, bring out some paperwork, some information. By the way, we do have electronic versions of all of our programs that we can send out for newsletter applications, for various promotions. Again, please use this as a resource. We have a few other departments that I do want to mention to you while I have the moment. We have a constituent affairs department that's kind of a first in treasurer's offices that can pretty much handle any question that you may have. And I mean that seriously. We've probably answered close to 1,500 or 1,800 inquiries, and out of that, probably 90% had absolutely nothing to do with the treasurer's office. So please reach out. It's a great opportunity. We do have regional reps out around the state that are doing exactly what I'm doing in addition to their normal duties. They do presentations. They do promote the treasurer's office. So please, again, use this as a resource, and let's get to answering some of the questions that have come in.
Thank you, Bill. And we'd like to thank the Treasurer's Office as well today for agreeing to do this webinar. It's a great way to get their information out, and it helps fulfill some of Heritage Ohio members' needs in their communities, both as homeowners, business owners, and community needs as well. Please start sending your questions in. We're going to take a brief commercial break here, so give you a moment to send in your questions. First off, we'd like to say thank you for attending today. And as Ohio's official historic preservation and Main Street organization, Heritage Ohio fosters economic development and sustainability through preservation of historic buildings, revitalization of downtown and neighborhood commercial districts, and promotion of cultural tourism. So if you enjoyed today's webinar, please think about becoming a member of Heritage Ohio, and you can find more information about that at our website, which is www.heritageohio.org. And a few announcements for upcoming events. September 4th is our next webinar coming up, and that's going to be with Lisa Pat McDaniel of the Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing. And she's going to be presenting at 1 o'clock that day, and you'll see some more information coming out at the beginning of next week about that webinar, so stay tuned for that. And our next training session is coming up on September 19th, and that's going to be in Port Clinton, Ohio at the Port Clinton Yacht Club. And that's an all-day training, and you can find more information on that on our website. Once again, www.heritageohio.org. And the topic of that presentation is going to be community branding. So we have a few questions coming in. So the first question is from Henry, and he has a question on prevailing wage. Do any of these programs trigger state prevailing wage when they're used?
One of the items, Henry, I probably should have mentioned is we must use this money only for profit type corporations, companies, and the like. We don't do really anything that is state or federally related or nonprofit. So it really does not apply in a state prevailing wage situation.
Thank you, Bill. John has a question. John's asking if you've just recently completed replacing many items approved under the EchoLink program using credit card financing, can you now secure a loan to pay off the related credit card expenses and use the program to buy down benefits?
Good question, John. Again, what you would have to do is actually go through your traditional bank and apply for an actual loan. If you have equity, you can use the equity. If you qualify, there are two ways to qualify, obviously, and we've seen this coming through many, many times. There is an unsecured loan and obviously a secured loan. If you can qualify for the secured loan, the interest rate is a little bit higher, obviously, than what you would be paying on a standard secured loan, but I would imagine it's going to be considerably less than what the credit card fees are. So your first step would actually be to check with your bank and see if you can qualify for the loan. And then, yes, you absolutely can use the EchoLink program to buy that rate down.
Thank you, Bill. David has a question about loans for biofuel companies. He's wondering if there wasn't a program in Ohio for biofuel companies to get this type of business loan.
You know what, David, I have to be honest, I'm not really sure. I would assume that the biofuel company would qualify most definitely on probably the ReEnergize side, or on the company itself if they're trying to do specific improvements to their own companies. I'm not quite sure I understand the question. If you're asking if the biofuel change would apply, it would. But if you're asking if a biofuel company is actually to apply for a loan, what would they use? That would be the ReEnergize program. I'm not quite sure on the angle that you're trying to come to, but I hope that answers both. If not, please shoot another question through.
Thanks, Bill. There's a question that's a little bit of an aside to what we've been talking about today, but Stephanie's asking, are there any interest rate reduction programs that you know of in Ohio for organizations such as churches and nonprofits that may be struggling to pay down their debts?
Well, unfortunately, Stephanie, we can only, again, do the for-profit organizations. We cannot help the nonprofits, which makes it very, very difficult for them. They need the money as well, but I think the legislature had in mind this may be problematic. You have so many nonprofits, which then brings into states and municipalities and townships and what have you. It really probably would overwhelm the program. So I think they wanted it strictly to be for profit and probably maybe create and retain a few more jobs and maybe on the other side.
Thank you, Bill. Tom's asking if you could explain further how, with current low interest rates, how the incentive works to get the bank to do the lower 3% interest rate.
Good question, Tom. The only incentive is really, truly their willingness to maybe take a little bit less return than they normally would get by putting their money elsewhere. It really has been a struggle. It's a struggle with the banks willing to take a reduced rate. That's why we've gone from probably that full 1,000 participation rate down to probably about 200 banks actually participating around the state. And it really does depend on their business model. If they're actually able to accept a little less return, it keeps them in the ball game. So it's tough. It's very tough.
Thank you, Bill. I don't see any more questions, so we'll just give you a couple more moments if there are any final questions to send out. And if not, we'll end the webinar for today. All right, William's asking a question. Are there any programs for YPs? Young professionals, maybe, William? Yeah, young professionals.
I don't think anything specific, William. Again, if it's not a business-related or not actually a consumer side with the EchoLink and the SaveNOW, I don't think there's anything specific. If you have something specific in mind, I'd love to hear from you.
All right, that looks like it's the end of the questions for today. And if you guys have any further questions, please feel free to contact Bill or his office about any of those. And if you have any questions about how this could relate to historic preservation or community revitalization. We'll be happy to answer those questions too. You can contact us through our website, www.heritageohio.org. And once again, we'd like to thank Bill and the entire department for the Treasury here. And I'd also like to thank Jessica, his assistant, for helping putting this together. She did a whole lot of work working with me to schedule this. Yeah, it was a great day, great webinar, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you.